Did you realize that 1 in 5 people are going to be diagnosed with skin cancer in their lifetime? That's a lot of people. People of all ages can get skin cancer. So summer's coming, fun in the sun, barbecues, the beach. What are you going to do to be really careful this year so you don't become one of those statistics about skin cancer? Stay tuned because our guest today is going to give us the lowdown on all of this. Hi, everyone, and good morning, and welcome to Scan FYI. Hey, Mary Beth, how are you today?
Good morning, Andrea. How are you?
Very good.
Got an important topic today to talk about.
With an important guest.
Yeah, so Vinny Smith is with us today from Braven Health. Good morning, Vinny.
Good morning, Andrea, and good morning, Mary Beth. How are you?
Hey, always good to see you, Vinny.
Always happy to be here for the people.
So yeah, getting ready for fun in the sun, but maybe it's not going to be too much fun if we're not careful. So let's get the conversation started.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk today about skin cancer because unfortunately, I can't believe how common it is. That's the first, and people of all ages.
All ages, and 1 out of 5 people every year will get some form of skin cancer. There are different various forms, but the most deadly is melanoma. Melanoma is the skin cancer that can kill you because it goes into 4 stages. If you get the other 2 types, they can just be easily removed. They will less than 1% chance of possibly causing death. So we're going to really zero in on melanoma, even though the other 2 are very unpleasant. Okay, what we have to remember is that they can just be taken care of, being frozen off, scraped off, things along those lines. But the melanoma is the one that can spread through your whole body. And when you talk about cancer, like I said, 1 out of 5 will be getting melanoma or some type of skin cancer. But we have to remember that it actually kills every hour. I believe it's like 1 in every hour throughout the whole country that will die from melanoma. That's an amazing statistic. It's the 5th ranked cancer that kills. It's not in the big 4, but it's the 5th one that's right behind it. And New Jersey is one of the worst states.
All right, so that's pretty depressing to start off with. And I think there's a lot of myths surrounding skin cancer. First of all, I think a lot of people underrate it, like, it's just skin cancer, not a big deal. And, we certainly, we've had some people in our office at Scan, she can be nameless, but she used to be a sun worshiper, but not anymore. Not anymore. It's pretty devastating when you see what it can do, to your face, your arms, your legs, any body part. So Vinny, what are some of the main causes? Obviously the sun, but what's the situation to avoid?
Well, let's go back in time because our seniors all remember the days of being out there and wanting to get that tan. They thought you were rich, you were famous, you were upper level, upper class, because you had that wonderful, and I'm sure everybody remembers George Hamilton, that he was renowned for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perpetually tan.
So back then we didn't know, so we would go down to Belmar and we'd lay on the beach all day long and flip over every 15 minutes. And we tried to get, so I'll get my burn real quick and then I'll tan. Just the worst thing we could have done.
With baby oil.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Baby oil. Rub the baby. I didn't get into that. I wasn't doing that. But the other thing too was amazing is that when they rub the baby oil and they put everything on like that, then they jump into a pool and create a grease pool and stuff. It wasn't a good thing for us. But the idea is that we have grown since then, and that's not that far back. And it wasn't.
No.
Then most cancers knew what type. The skin cancer wasn't being attributed as the cause of final death. Because what happens is that when you get the melanoma, it goes in 4 stages. The 4th stage obviously is the final stage, but it attacks all of the internal organs, and they were designating death by cancer of the liver, the kidneys, things like that. not the original part. And then they said, no, there's something going on. So they finally realized melanoma, and I take this back, it's actually 2 people every hour in the United States that die of some form of skin cancer, mainly melanoma. But what happens is that we want to go out there, we want to go on the beach, and we don't understand how we really need to protect ourselves away from the sun rays. Because they think that, well, if I just put an umbrella up, I'll be okay. That's not really true, right? Because the word refraction. What happens is that sunlight comes down onto the beach and onto the water and refracts back up into you under the umbrella. So if you don't use all of the measures to protect yourself, you're going to wind up with a sunburn, and sunburn leads to skin cancer. And you have to remember that the skin is the largest organ of the body.
Right.
So no matter where you get the sunburn, it's going to travel somewhere and come out somewhere, not just where you got the sunburn. You might just get it on your face, and guess what happens? You might have melanoma. The places where melanoma usually occurs with most females, Caucasian, okay, are on the thighs behind it, but it can occur anywhere. With males, it is usually on the back of the shoulders, but can occur anywhere. For dark-skinned individuals, okay, it usually occurs on the bottom of the feet, okay, or the hands, and then the mole looks like almost the same coloration of a dark person's skin. So they really get to overlook that, and that's why the figures are even higher for people of dark-toned skin. Not talking about race, we're just talking tone of skin. So it might be a very deep olive-toned person, and you're not going to see it. So what we're talking about here is that it gets us without us knowing it.
So just to clarify, so you can be out and about, and you think, you're putting a sunscreen or something maybe on your face and your neck, and those rays are still getting you, but they're traveling, and the cancer can come out in a place that was never even exposed to the sun.
Exactly. What happens is that when we go out, we might have a pair of sneakers on and a pair of Bermuda shorts and a t-shirt with short sleeves. We might even have a hat on to keep the sun off our face.
Right.
Guess what? The sun is hitting our skin someplace else. If you don't have that sunblock on to prevent the burn, and the sunblock should be in 15 to 50, I prefer 30, all right? I've had melanoma 3 times because when I was a kid, I was on that beach. Coppertone went on. That was the only one we had then, and that was called tanning lotion. Not even,
Yes.
preventive. It was used to help you get a tone.
I remember that.
But what happens is that when that sun gets onto the skin, and a perfect example, truck driver tan, they call it. They're driving the truck and the left arm goes out the window. So that arm gets very, very burnt first and then tan. But they might wind up with melanoma on their back or their leg or the other arm or their face, their neck, or anywhere on the body, because when you burn, the cancer will spread through the body from getting the sun, but where it comes out, it festers, it comes out usually through moles. Moles will change size, color, shape, or form. And what happens is when that mole changes, that's a definite symptom right away that you have something and you got to go. But the idea is that it can pop out anywhere, and then it will go through the 4 stages if it goes untreated. So you have to use all of the preventions. And the first prevention, sunblock on any skin exposed to the sun, and put it on
before you leave the house.
That's right. Put it on before, because it's a chemical that has to bond with you. That's what it is. So when you rub it on your arm and you went to the beach and you lugged down the cart and the chairs and the umbrellas and all that stuff, what are you doing? You're perspiring.
Right.
When you're perspiring and then you put that sunblock on, it smears. It has to bond with your skin. So you need, first of all, dry skin.
Dry skin.
Let it so it can get in there. So at least 20 minutes before you go into the sun. Put it on all of the skin that is exposed to the sun. SPF, sun protection formula, okay, has a number. It says SPF right on the brands that you might. Don't never go lower than 50, preferably 30 to 50. Don't go over 50. I mean, they have it like SPF 125. You're wasting your money. Okay. Remember, we live in America. We make money. 15, the lowest, preferably 30 to 50. I go to Aruba every year. I put that SPF 50 on there. You still get a tan, but you're going to do it gradually and you're not going to burn. The key is don't burn. Okay, so when you spread it on, all right, that's fine. You can have the cream that you spread on. You also have someone help you. okay? Because you got to get your back and everything. Don't miss a spot. What you also can have is the spray. The spray is very good, but the problem is that have someone spray it on you, because guess what? We take the can of spray, we turn our head and we go, and we miss. Also, if you want, rub that in. It just won't dry by itself. Rub it in so you cover all your skin and make sure you get everything covered. And the other prevention, of course, is wear a hat with a nice wide brim to keep the sun off your face and neck and ears as much as possible. All right. Wear clothing that's protective. Don't wear a flimsy, just white t-shirt, because the sun's rays, the ultraviolet rays, will go through a very, very flimsy t-shirt. Okay. Pair of shorts if you want, bathing suit, that's fine. But any skin, cover it up. And do it like we had said with that. Now, the other preventions that they have, okay, the American Cancer Society says wear the wide brim hat, long sleeves shirts and pants on the beach. When it's 92, you'll go over from heat prostration. Be smart about yourself. Just get the sunblock on. And here's the big one, no tanning salons. You increase your chances of getting melanoma by 70 to 80% if you go to tanning salons.
And yet so many people are still doing that. I'm honestly, I'm amazed.
Well, there's been a lot of legislation passed where they said you got to be 18 or above, 16 to 18. You have to have a parent's note. That's a joke. You know how many parents' notes go to the homeroom teacher in school? Okay, by somebody. So, but what's happening is that if you notice, there used to be an abundance of them all over the place. You don't see so many anymore. People are getting smarter, but we're not smart enough yet. And that's why we do like this, to help them to understand that you're playing with fire. You're talking about getting a sunburn that could lead to the possibility of big gouges taken out of you. There's a film I showed to all the high school kids where the melanoma started. Now you got to remember, melanoma is a mole that changes in size, shape, color, form. It will turn two-tone brown, it'll get irregular, it'll only get a little bit larger, but it's a mole. That's not big. But if you get it here in the cheek, they have to cut out so much skin around your cheek to get all of the cancer cells.
Right.
Unbelievable. And that's stage 1 or 2. If it gets to stage 2, it's now going deeper. And the mole's not going to get that much larger, okay? But stage 2, now it's going into the skin and it's trying to find a lymphatic system, your lymph nodes. Once it finds the lymph nodes, you're in stage 3 cancer, because it will now spread through your body through the lymphatic system. And when it finds the organs in the body, and it could be any organ, now you're stage 4. Stage 4 is not a good cancer to have. So many people don't realize it. Next thing you know, boom, they've got stage 4 cancer of an internal organ that started with melanoma. So the idea is that you have to prevent it as much as possible and as you can. The treatment is very, very difficult once you get past stage 2. Stage 3, you're talking about serious surgery. You're talking about internal surgery. You're talking about radiation and chemo, okay? It's one of the most unsightly cancers that we have.
Yeah.
It will also multiply then on the area where the first spot was, and you'll get many, many more spots. And what happens then is that, like, for instance, if you get it in the upper arm, it will just turn black, and it's terrible. It's not worth getting a sunburn. You're killing yourself slowly, but you're going to kill yourself. So you got to make sure that you remember to use your preventions and things along those lines. Too much sun is a bad thing for us. Some sun is good for us, using the sunblock. I mean, the sun creates flowers and trees and that grass we got to mow all the time. That's a good thing, okay? And the sun gives you vitamin D. Here's the other myth. Oh, you get vitamin D. You don't get no vitamin D. How am I going to get my vitamin D? Drink a glass of milk, okay? Take multivitamins. You should be taking multivitamins anyway, okay, for your health. That's a myth that was perpetuated by the businesses that had these tanning salons. So the whole idea is that. Now, can you get it other ways? Yeah, if you live in the middle of an oil refinery, okay, the chemicals there could possibly harm you. That's why you'll see most of the time the people that work in oil refineries, where they're in that area that can get those chemicals, are protected with gloves and things along those lines, because that has to physically go into your skin. So the preventions aren't hard, just use them. Again, don't forget, if you go to the beach, okay, or even in the pool, If you jump in the pool, guess what? You might have the sunblock on, but when you come out, you're not going to have any more sunblock on you because
Right.
the screen eats it up. If you go into the ocean, when you come out, dry yourself off, okay, and reapply. You have to reapply because the salt water will take it off, the grit and the turbulence in the water will rub it off like sandpaper. Or if, let's say, you get involved in an activity, you're playing volleyball or something along those lines, and you perspire, that will break the bond in the skin of the sunblock. Dry off, reapply. If you don't do any of those things and you just sit there under the umbrella and read, you still have to have sunblock on because the sun rays refract, like I said. You still have to reapply every 2 hours. See, some people say, oh, I got sunburn and I put it on. What time did you get to the beach? 10 o'clock. What time did you reapply? I had to reapply.
Right.
Doesn't last all day? No, it don't last all day.
You know, here's another important question. So let's say last year I bought some sunblock. I had some left over. Is that still going to be potent and usable for this year? Or
that is actually unknown. That is unknown.
Really?
There's 1 or 2 sunblocks that have an expiration date on it. Okay. Well, none of them really have an expiration date. What they have is used by date. That's from business. Just saying used by this date because they want you to buy more. Buy new, fresh sunblock, okay, every spring. Every spring. Anything you had over from the previous year, toss it, okay? Every spring, buy new stuff, fresh stuff.
But that's a good point too. The sunblock should be going on not just in the summer during those activities, especially if you're out in the fall, soccer games with your grandchildren or your own children, that you got to protect yourself all the time you're in the sun, out gardening, all that good stuff.
Even in the winter, you might be skiing somewhere. You're getting such a glare off the snow. That's sun also. Winter sun. Sun is sun.
That's one of the things I love to talk about in my presentation. I talk about the myths, okay, of skin cancer. I can't get it because I'm dark skinned. Skin is skin. All skin burns.
Right.
If you're light skinned, you're going to turn cherry red. If you're dark skinned, you get a little darker. But you have everything else that's there. Then you start to get the dryness. You get the scratchiness. You get the pain from it. So it doesn't matter if you're dark skinned. You'll burn quicker if you're light skinned, but you'll still burn if you're dark skinned. So that's a myth. The other myth is that you're out in the winter and you're going skiing and you're flying all over those things and you got goggles on and you're doing really good. And then you go inside and you're standing by the fireplace and you have a cognac in your hand. Okay. No more than 2 drinks per day. Okay. You have a cognac in your hand and you're as red as a beet. And I've done this with my brother. I said to him, put your sunblock on before you went skiing. It's winter, man. So what? Sun. That's all you need is the sun. Or they'll say it's windburn from skiing. No, there's no such thing as windburn. You could get flush from the cold, but as soon as you come inside, your normal complexion will return. When you stay red, it's because you got sunburn. Temperature has nothing to do with it. That's a great point that you brought up.
But another thing that maybe for some people not so obvious. So when you're out in the sun and you have that constant exposure, burning and whatnot, it's really going to age your skin. And at some point you're going to, instead of skin, you're going to, I feel like I see people, it looks like leather. It doesn't even look like your face. You're going to look like a Shar-Pei, guys. You don't want that.
You're going to be wrinkled all over the place. They're laugh lines. No, they're not. That's your skin that went in and out like an accordion. It got burnt, it got damaged. Every time we get a sunburn, we damage our skin. Yeah. Okay, this is not everlasting. We have to take care of our skin. And if we keep getting sunburns after that, even if we don't get cancer, we're still destroying the elasticity and the fullness of our skin. We have to remember to take care of our skin. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen too often. But when it does, then we're ahead of the ballgame. We're going to be staying as beautiful as we are now.
So you don't want to be 40 or 30 years old and look like you're about 75 on your your neck.
No,
and your face. I mean, we see it. I see it.
You're
all
going to look like a wrinkled up dry grape. That's what you're.
Shar-Pei. That's what I say.
Or Shar-Pei.
You don't want to look like a Shar. That's not something to aspire to.
Yep.
Definitely
I'd like to
not.
go back to the tanning salons one more time, okay? Because I want to bring something out that people might use to help them remember never go there, okay? If you look at all the pictures of someone in a tanning booth, a stand up, a lay down, whichever one does, they obviously have a bathing suit on, okay? But if it's a guy, it's a small little one. It's a young lady, it's usually a two-piece because they want to get that even tan.
Right.
That's an 80% increased chance of getting melanoma.
Exposed.
And you got to remember this. What are they wearing on their eyes? They usually have goggles on. They
Right.
get goggles. Well, what are the goggles protecting? Your eyes. Well, the same tissue as your skin. Why are they protecting your eyes but not the rest of your body? Think about that before you want to walk into a tan. When my daughter was getting married, okay, she's a teacher, so she had to get married in August, right? She couldn't miss school, obviously. And she had said to me, she says, and her mother, she came home and she was talking to her mother and she says, I'm really love the wedding dress I picked out. And I can't wait till I get a nice tan. I'll look really great in that tan. And my head snapped around and I looked at her and I went, no. Is what? I said, no. You're gonna go to the tanning salon? Yeah. No. You know that envelope with a big check in it at the end of the wedding? Yeah. You ain't getting one if you do that. And I talked to her about it. And it happened that obviously she didn't do that. Because that's like almost suicide, for God's sakes. It's just not a good thing. Those tanning salons are really, really bad for us.
Vinny, what about the self tanners? I know some people use the self tanners to help give themselves, a safe tan.
Yes, when the safe tan is either the lotion or the sprays. Okay, and by the way, that's what my daughter did. She did the spray. She went into the spray booth and
Oh yeah, the spray.
she
Yeah.
looked very pretty, and that lasts 2 or 3 days. So that's good for like a wedding. What you have to be careful of is inhaling some of those. All right, that could be a possibility. There hasn't been any study on that yet. Okay, but it's so much safer than getting the tan. That's going right past the top of your skin, going right down into the below the epidermis and causing cellular damage. That's what the ultraviolet light causes cellular damage. So yes, they are good. Much better than a tanning salon or getting that sunburn laying out there in the sun, stuff like that. And to go back to what we said before, you were talking about, even if you don't go to the beach or anywhere like that, you still got to use the protection. You're going to go out and cut the grass. You're going to do some,
Right.
you take a walk every day. You're physically active. Great, I'm happy, physically active. You're doing well for yourself, but you're getting a burn because you don't have the sunblock on, you don't have the hat on. So we got to be understanding that no matter what the season, as long as you have sunlight, you got to use those preventions along those lines. Because if, we're just going to increase your chances of getting melanoma and God knows what could happen after
And
that.
you said that skin cancer was the 5th most prevalent cancer in the country?
That causes death, yes.
That causes death. Well, that's a pretty compelling reason right there to take care of your skin.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And before I said I think I said 1 out of 5, it's actually 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5. What? Well,
Yeah. Yep.
Well, you have two on the screen, Vinny. I think we'll both say we've had melanoma. So we've got
That's
2
right.
out of 3 right here. Yeah. And
Yep.
you got it. And I was going to say, yes, being prepared when you're going outside is one thing, but also, everyone should always have a screening done to make sure that you don't have anything going on with your skin and get a baseline. So
Absolutely.
what's normal and what's changing.
Yep. You should have at least every year a screening. If you wind up like myself, I have to go every 6 months because I've had melanoma 3 times. I just actually had one taken off my left arm last Tuesday. But again, when I was a kid, we didn't know this. We would go down we go for a whole month down the shore, be on the beach every morning by 9 o'clock, off the beach.
yeah.
5 o'clock, had a little red wagon, we loaded up all the chairs and lunch and stuff like that. I had a tan that everybody loved. My hair became platinum blonde. I used to be good looking, but then I got smart and I stopped doing that. But I'm still good looking, maybe. But my wife lies to me about it anyway. So the whole idea is that it's occurring way, way too much. The kids are getting smarter. I went up to Livingston High School and I did a presentation for them up there. they were having the prom like in 2 weeks. And they brought a young lady in that had just gone to a tanning salon, and she had some second-degree burns from it. Because you remember, a sunburn is a first-degree burn. If you blister, it's a second-degree burn. That's a very serious burn. And she said, "Can I?" But she went to a tanning salon. She wanted to start getting a tan. Someone came in there and they took the thing and went way too far, and they cooked her. They basically cooked her. Along those lines. So you got to be careful of those things. They're not really reputable. They're not medical at all. They're just a commercial thing that's making money. But the bottom line is that when we know the causes now, the major causes and the myths, we know the preventions, but use those preventions. Okay, treatment. Like I said to you before, with treatment, they had to dig out at the back of my shoulder. Remember, it's only the size of a mole. But when it changes in size, shape, color, form, it's melanoma. They have to keep digging a hole until all of the cancer is out. And that's
like an iceberg.
Yeah. So, and then you have to keep going to that dermatologist. Now, let me explain something about dermatologists. They work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Okay. There are any profession, good ones, and thankfully, probably 99% of them are good ones. But if you walk into a dermatologist and the dermatologist says, "Oh, what's bothering you today, Mr. Smith?" "Well, I'd like a full screening." "You got anything in particular?" They just want to get in and get out. They got like revolving doors, some of them. Okay, there's one in Monmouth County that of course, I'm not going to say who, but
no names.
That was the first one I went to. And as soon as I sat down, he said, "Show me what's bothering you." I said, "Well, I want a whole body screening." He goes, "Well, you don't have anything particular?" I went, "No." "Oh, all right." He did a body screening that like my 10-year-old could have done better. Grandson, mine. If they ask you, "Is there anything in particular?" you can tell them that, but tell them that you want a full body screening every time you see a dermatologist, from the head to the toes, okay? Because they got to find, they can find things that we may not be able to see. We may not even think it's anything. We think it might be just a regular mole. So go to that dermatologist that's going to do a full body screening every time you walk into that office. If they just say something specific and you say no, okay, then I'll see you next year. Don't go back there. In fact, go to another one tomorrow, all right? That happens. But at least make sure you find one that you're comfortable with that does the full body screening, and go, if you even if you don't have any, go once a year, because it can happen. It can happen as young. I've seen kids that were like 10 years old with it. I've seen them actually, some kids even younger. And then it can happen, and it happens more frequently over the age of 50. It will harbor in our bodies, and all of a sudden we break out after 50, all right? Because we've had just a little bit too much, and it gets worse. Don't play with that. Go to a dermatologist once a year, get that screening, because it can happen at any time.
All right. Well, Vinny, thank you very much for that information. I mean, really, the bottom line is summer's coming. Take care of your skin. I'll post some of the information that Vinny mentioned. I'll put that in our Facebook and our YouTube comments. You don't have to memorize anything. But you know what? Just you have one shot at your skin. You don't get more of it, right?
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
please take good care of it. Well,
Yep.
Vinny Smith from Braven Health, thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you for having me, and I hope everybody be well, be safe.
It is always our pleasure to see you. So remember, if it's important to you, it's important to us. I'm Andrea Tarr. We'll see you next time on Scan FYI. Bye, everyone. Bye, Mary Beth.
Bye.
Take care.